Just finished recording a banger episode here with Chris Morales. We talked about the culture that you built here with your team. I think there's some really good nuggets in here for you to take away from Chris's experience. Chris's story on before and after he adopted budgeting into his business is truly a testament to the power of it.
Yes, sir. Yes, it is. Thank you so much for coming out, and everything you're doing for the industry, man, is incredible. I can't recommend you guys enough. Anybody wants to reach out and has questions, I'm happy to help, man, because I always thought of myself as the little guy, right? And now after, learning what real finances are and everything, I feel like it, right? And so I'm happy to help.
So enjoy the episode, guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Cost of Doing Business podcast. I am here in, what is the town here?
This is Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, man.
This is Pigeon Forge, okay. So I'm here with Chris Morales, and his team's out here working on this incredible project. We're literally out here on the job site recording this, sitting at this like Christmas place inn, this Christmas themed hotel. It's incredible.
Christmas in July, right?
Exactly. Give us a little bit of an introduction, your team, yourself, your business, what kind of projects you get into and that kind of thing.
My name is Chris Morales, and my company is Morales Outdoor Living. We are out here in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, working at the Inn and Christmas Place. This hotel is Christmas themed, and the project here is actually Christmas themed as well. We got some snowflakes, we got custom water features going in the pool, candy canes, right? That's all crazy. Done by other contractors, right? But it's still part of the build.
Sure.
Then we got faux snow, so it looks like there's snow piles everywhere. Very, very unique project. And I'm happy to be here, man. We're doing all the hardscapes around here.
And when did you start?
We started in October of last year.
Okay.
We started on the courtyard. That was the first portion of it, which includes this massive project right here with about 5,000 square feet of pavers and 3 snowflakes. And these snowflakes are really the talking point of the project. They got fiber optic lights in them, right?
It's crazy. These fiber, that's just insane.
At night, they just change colors and all, and we got 3 fire pits that are in there as well. So this was really just a gathering area for the guests.
Yeah.
But I think what people are really going to be surprised with is the pool area. So that's what we're working on now. It's phase 2 of the project, and that's going to be about 7,000 square feet of pavers over there with turf, and there's going to be an island, lazy river, grotto, all of that Lucas Lagoons is specialized in, right? So it's just amazing to be here, and we're blessed to be a part of the project.
That's incredible. Do you have your entire team on site on this project, or do you have other projects going on at the same time?
So my entire team is here, It's all hands on deck here.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
We do a little bit of structures and decks here and there with our subs, but here, my artists is what I call them. My artists are all here, and I need them all here for this project.
Yeah. So how are you handling, like, when people call you for projects, like other leads for other projects, while you're here on a massive project that's taking months to do? Like, how are you handling that?
So I've been blessed to have the team that I have. My foreman, Epi, has really taken his role, has grown into it, and he can handle any project for me. So I'm able to leave site and really take care of what I need to take care of and not have to worry about any quality or anything here. He has it under control. So leads come in, I will book them all. I try to get them all on Fridays, so I can leave here and do what I gotta do, and I can still be here at the beginning of the week. So I'll be here Monday through Thursday, and on Fridays I do all my leads, and I don't have to worry about anything. So that's mainly how I do it.
And you said you're even going to California tomorrow?
I'm even in California for 5 days. And
vacation?
Anniversary trip / business trip.
Good for you.
So I don't have a worry in the world. I know that we're going to get back. We have a crazy deadline, man. We got to finish here in about 4 weeks.
Oh, really?
In about 4 weeks we have to be finished. And we still have maybe another 2,000 square feet to do. A lot of details. We still have to sand it and seal it as well. But that's just
What's driving the deadline? Like they have a project deadline for, like, is there events going on that they need to be done for? Or?
They really wanted to be open for the summertime, but obviously that wasn't going to happen, right? The thing is the money, right? That they're losing out every day. The more we get into the fall time and the winter time, the less chance that they're going to have to be able to generate the revenue that they're looking for this, right? And we're trying to open up with a bang mid-August.
Okay, got it.
August 15th, we have to turn in the keys, and the water has to be in, and that's what we're shooting for, right? I mean, it's going to be hard. There's still a lot of details, but we're working our best, you know.
So tell me a little bit about like your business. Like, how did you get started? Did you start by yourself? Did you immediately have employees?
I worked in the pool business for about 7 years.
As an employee?
As an employee for somebody else.
Okay.
And I just noticed how well he was doing, you know. I was like, man, this guy's all over the world, and I wanted that for me, for my family, and I thought, hey, like I could do this, right? So I left the pool business and I went with the paver guy. I really, at the end of my career at the pool business, I was doing all the finish work. I was doing all the hardscape. So I went from the digging or plumbing and all of that stuff to the finished stuff, and I really gained the passion for it, right? Because what I noticed is nobody cares about the behind the scenes stuff, the plumbing, the electrical, the things that are in the ground. They care about the finished details.
That's what they comment about.
That's what they comment about, and I'd really like that, right? So I was like, man, I think I can do that. And then comes 2017, I stayed at the paver company probably 3 months when I realized I was like, I could do this. I'm doing this. I'm not gonna work for anybody else. And I just finished 7 years with somebody. I jumped to a paver company, and I was like, I don't need this. I was like, I'm gonna try it. And it's the best decision, right, that I could have ever made. Now I'm working to be my 7th year in September out on my own.
Okay.
And here we are, man. And I started by myself. You know, I had a little V6 2-door truck and a little $800 trailer that I bought after a couple jobs. I remember my first tool I bought was an 8-foot level, man, and I was so proud. It was like $100 for that, and you know, I was like, this is the beginning of something great. This is little by little, I'm gonna get there. And I had that mentality. I just knew that I was gonna be able to do what I wanted and make a living off of it, right? Because I knew that even with the small jobs, when you're out on your own, you finish it and you do good, you get paid. It's almost what you made in the several weeks and the 9 to 5. In my mentality, I was like, I just need to do a couple jobs a month and I'll be all right. And it was slow at first, but all I ever advertised were hardscape projects. I never really tried pushing landscape or mowing or anything. I knew that I wanted to do hardscapes, so I always pushed for that. And I've always been real good with tech as well, you know, so I always had a drone, even from the beginning. Yeah. I did my little videos and stuff like that, I edited them, and from the very beginning I've done that. Now my marketing and all of that has gone really good, right?
Dude, because you got a camera following you around.
I got a camera following me around. But it started like that, man. I was wearing all the hats, right? And I think a lot of contractors start off that way. It's just getting out of the mentality of you don't have to wear all the hats that really got me to where I am now, right? Once I started delegating, that's where the magic happened.
What's it take to delegate? Because I think everybody would like to be able to, but it's the how.
Yeah, you know, that's a tough question, right? Everybody might be a little bit different, but it's really, you have to trust people and take the time to train. Sometimes there might be a unicorn maybe that you can hire, and they are, from the get-go, they're really good, right? But my team has all been trained by me slowly, right? My office admin, my sister-in-law, I've taken time to really train her, and it's never gonna be perfect at first, but you have to start delegating so you can focus on the things that really matter. My time is better spent now trying to grow the business than out here actually cutting a paver or laying it in. I used to love that, but I really love being able to just grow and get bigger, better jobs for my guys, and they love the challenges, right? It's never a one answer thing for delegating, right? I think everybody is gonna get to that point. Obviously at first, if your jobs are a little bit smaller, you don't have as much work, I mean, it gets there. It will get there, right? I mean, as long as you stick to it and you're committed.
Yeah. How would you describe it? Would you say it's easier to just, like, by default, it's easier to just do it yourself, cut the pavering yourself, as opposed to training your team member how to cut it in the right way? Or training, like you said, your sister-in-law, how to...
I think by default, yes, because most of the time, as we start off as entrepreneurs, we coming from a 9 to 5, right? So we just come with the worker mentality. We're not thinking about growing a business, because that's a whole different monster than from the actual trade, right? So I think by default, 9 times out of 10, every contractor thinks that you have to be doing everything. You're not thinking larger. You're not thinking like what can really make your company grow. Yeah, I think by default that it's not easier, but I think everybody falls to that at first because that's just all we know, right? And it's just getting out of that mentality to know that you have to hire the right people that are even better at you in certain times, in certain aspects of the business to be able to grow. You know, I think that's how every large business has grown.
I'm sure you've had these experiences, like when you try to train and try to delegate, and then they screw it up, or you know, or maybe they don't seem to care like you do. What kind of advice or lessons have you learned from how to overcome that? Where I'm coming from with this question is, I hear a lot of people Like, I'd love to be able to delegate. I'm trying. I've hired someone. I'm trying to train them, but they just don't care. Or, and I know we were talking down there a little bit about culture and what it takes to do all that stuff. But I want to like kind of pull out from you like the lessons that you've learned, or hear like what you think it takes to actually pull this off, because you've obviously pulled it off. You know?
Yeah, I hear a lot of contractors really complain about getting employees and keeping them and stuff like that. And I haven't had those challenges. I don't know if I just attract the right people, but for example, like my sister-in-law, she worked at a doctor's office, so her organization has been perfect. And I knew she didn't want to be there, so I was like, hey, I could help you out. I was like, I need help. So I knew that she was going to do well, and I didn't have troubles with her. And then with the guys, they all found me. They all came to me. I didn't even have to look for them. They found me, right? I think it's like, it's one of those things I can't even compare myself to other people because
what drew them to you? Was it your social media?
I think it was because we've always done really unique projects, and they wanted to be a part of that. And they found me, and they've stuck here. And then after that, it's the way you treat them. I think when you, as an owner, can really show appreciation to them, and they work harder. I mean, they're not lower than me. I'm not above them, and I tell them that all the time. I'll show up, and I'm like, hey, I'm just a laborer here. Like, you guys are in charge, right? Because I know that they do a great job, and I trust them, and I'm not hovering over them. And it's just, I don't know, man. I haven't had any issues. It's crazy because I know everybody wants to hear what's the secret. I think just treating your guys right and spending time with them and really going over what your expectations are. There's some owners that don't even know the name of their employees. They just hire people, and they don't take the time to even get to know them. You know, I don't know. We're a family, and they know what my expectations are, and they get the job done better than I could. Right, so it's just, I can't really say I've had any of those issues because I haven't. It's just all falling into place, man.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's.
If they're all unicorns.
I think you're. Yeah, right. Well, I think you're right. The whole they came to you. You obviously were emitting something that attracted them to you, and like something I've said to other people. I've even said it to family members is that are in business. Like, look, you got to be someone that people want to work for.
Yeah.
If you're not showing appreciation, if you're not trusting them, if something goes wrong and you blame it on them instead of saying, hey, how did I screw up teaching you? Because this is a mistake.
Yeah.
But how did I not teach you correctly?
Yes. Yeah.
You know, it's not reflecting the blame. You know, let's work on this together, like in partnership, as opposed to like butting heads.
Exactly. Now, mistakes happen.
Yeah.
You know, but it's knowing how to approach it and say like, we can definitely learn from this. And it's not the end of the world. Everything has a solution, and they know that. I never once have blown my top over something, because I just know everything has a solution, and they know it. I think because of that, they take their time, and they know that we're not rushing anything. Quality over quantity, for sure.
Yeah.
You know, they're not trying to fly through anything. And
I worked for Steve and Matt Martin at Tassie Landscaping for 15 years as an employee. When I look at the loyalty and the culture that's in that team, it does come down to Steve gets to know his people. He would give you the shirt off his back. He bends over backwards to help the person, you know, and it's not just like clock in, clock out, I'll give you your paycheck, see ya, I don't want to talk to you.
Letting them know that they're heard and they're seen, right?
And trusting them. Like, he totally, like, I was 18 years old, he would trust me to go out there and, like, you got it, give me the tools I need, give me the design, give me everything I needed. And, like, just the ownership that I felt of that trust and not wanting to betray that trust. And, like, taking pride of, like, look what I did, you know, like.
I think that's very similar here. Because there are times that we've taken on some challenges, and I'm like, hey, you already have the skill set, we have the tools, go and do it. Figure it out. And if you can't, you need help, talk to me. But I'm not gonna hover over them. I let them struggle. You have to let them struggle to learn, right? And same thing, man. I trust them with everything, and they take ownership 100%. Because they know that, especially here, I tell them, I was like, hey, everybody is gonna see this that ever comes here. Usually at residential, nobody ever sees it but the homeowners. I was like, here, everybody's gonna come critique you guys, and they take that as a challenge, right? They're like, we're gonna knock this out the park, right?
And, you know, truthfully, you don't often go to a hotel where it's a really good, well done project. You know what I mean?
100%. Like, anything commercial is never done.
Exactly.
Right.
It's like bulk quantity. You know.
And I think that's why the hotel really leaned towards us, because they saw that we take pride in our work, 100%.
So let me frame the question about how you find your guys in a different way. Let's pretend you lost everybody tomorrow. What would you do to go find to recreate what you've already created?
Yeah, you know, this is funny, man, but I think being Mexican gives me an advantage. because the community, everybody knows the guy, right? It's so easy for me to reach out to somebody that's in the trades.
Like the Latino culture.
And the culture's like that. And I'm like, hey, do you know anybody that works in this field or that wants to work? And the thing about it too is I may not find the guy that knows pavers, but I will find somebody that has work ethic that is like ridiculous.
And that's
right?
key.
And that's key, right? You know, I don't want to be like discriminative or anything, but I feel like our Hispanic guys, they're very family oriented, right? So they're here to really work hard and do something for themselves and their family, right? I just think that's what helps. So I can easily reach out to family members or other guys that I know in the industry and find guys pretty easily, man. It's a no hard word for me. And I've tried to explain that to other guys and they're like, well, I can't, man. I don't know how to do that. It's like, I guess I have an advantage, man.
Yeah.
But also just being out and talking to people in the community. I can go out and to just like a place like a restaurant easily for me and find somebody there and say, hey man, do you know somebody? I think I talk well with people. I can communicate very well. I'm not shy to go out and just speak like, hey, do you know somebody? You know, and some people, they're doing like maybe like flyers or stuff that just doesn't reach the right people. And I go right to the source where I think that I'm gonna find some workers.
Just go talk to people.
Just go talk to people, you know, even at your church or stuff like that. I think you even told me stuff like that, like go and find people like that in different areas that you're usually at, and anywhere. You'll find any workers anywhere and just talk to people.
Yeah.
You know, so
well, it's refreshing to hear what you're saying because, like, you know, when I'm on the podcast, I hear the exact opposite many times. Like, I can't find help. I wish I could find help. Those kinds of things. So when I see someone like yourself that's obviously got it going, you know,
thank you.
How you know, how'd you do that? How does it happen? How can other people do that? You know? So some great insights I think that you're sharing.
Company culture, 100%. Also, you know, word gets around. Like I know the guys have friends, right, that maybe are similar trades in the landscaping, and they'll say, man, we saw you guys on the videos, or we saw you you went this place or somewhere, right? They know that there's a culture here, that we have fun here, and they want to work here, you know? It's so critical to build up the company culture, right? And now that these videos are coming out, I got the guys on video, all these other people are like, man, we've seen you on the
which boosts tremendous pride and ownership.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And now other people want to be a part of that as well,
so
right? Because they know the projects we're doing it and the marketing and everything, it's fun. It's a fun environment. It's hard work, but if you can make it fun, you're going to attract all the right people.
Sure. So you said you're 7 years in your business?
About to be, yep.
How long was it till you hired your first employee?
A year and a half or so.
So you were solo for a year and a half?
Yeah, so where I used to work at the pool business, pool company, there was this other guy that worked there, and his nickname is Goose. And you know, Goose, every day he showed up and he was like, oh man, I gotta leave early because I have to go clean some gutters. Or I have to leave early because I'm gonna go mow a yard. And he would do something different every day. And he'd come back to the job the next day and be like, man, I made $200. I made $300. I was like, man, that's crazy. Why don't you just go out on your own? So seeing him and how he was making money on all these jobs, I quit and I left. And he quit right there after me because I guess I pushed him to do it. And me and Goose would start working together, and we didn't exchange money, we just exchanged time. So Goose had already gained some dump trucks. They were really old trucks, but he had them. And I had all the tools. I had a bunch of tools that I was investing in, like a bunch of hand tools, levels, and stuff like that, power tools. So I would get a job, and he'd come help me. And we might work like 45 hours. Then the next job was his job, and we jumped to his job. And I'd work for like 42 hours. So then, you know, and I owed him 3 hours. So that would get rolled on to the other one. And, you know, we helped each other like that. Just me and my boy Goose, man, just helping each other for about 2 years. And about a year and a half, we had hired a guy to help us. But that's really what got the ball rolling. And just me and one other guy just helping each other out. One job mine, one job his. One job mine, one job his. Until we got so busy that we kind of...
You could go your own direction.
Yeah, we can do our own stuff.
Yeah.
But that's how I started, man.
Wow.
And I just had a little 2-door truck that, man, I got pictures of it where I bought that trailer and it was like bent in. It was really ugly, man, but I was so proud. I used to overload that thing with demo. I used to chip out decks and like overload it, and my little truck was like squatted down to the ground going down the interstate, you know, and I did what I had to do, you know. There was no stopping me.
Yeah.
I had a vision, and I knew that I didn't have all the stuff that I needed to do it, I guess, efficiently, but I was still getting it done. Because in my head, I was like, there's no stopping me, you know? And I had my kids, you know? I had something to work towards, right?
Yeah.
I know that my second daughter was born when I first started my business, and I had more, right? So I'm 4 kids now, so that's my motivation, right? No matter what kind of challenges come my way, I still gotta I got to get it.
That's awesome.
I got to get it. So yeah, man, I definitely did not start with any daddy's money or anything like that. I started from the very bottom. Just a lot of elbow grease, man, and motivation.
Yeah.
So that's how I started, man.
What would you say is your biggest challenge that you encountered in your journey?
I feel like these 7 years, every year we grew. As the business grew, so did my family. So my biggest challenge, and still to this day, is balancing work life and home life, right? Because man, my kids are growing up, they want more attention, and I get home tired sometimes, and it's hard to like spend that time with them and still get work done that I have to do still. I'll be on site and I still have to do the office stuff. Well, I did, right? But I'm still doing estimates now. And now I got the office stuff taken care of. I delegated that task, but I still got estimates to do and stuff like that. And so to this day, I'm still struggling with that work balance and home balance. I think every entrepreneur goes through that, right? But that by far is the biggest. I got a big family. I got 4 kids and my wife, and the business has just grown tremendously. So, oh man, trying to find that balance is hard. So I think right now we're actually going to homeschool our kids.
Really?
So we can travel around, because our schedule is so spontaneous. Like I might have a job where we have a delay, and I want to be able to travel instead of having to wait in the summertime, because it's summertime I can't do anything. So I think that's going to be the best thing for us right now. That way I can spend more time with them and actually make more memories and stuff, because that has been my biggest challenge, man, is that balance.
Awesome.
Yeah. So challenging.
It is.
If you know the magic, you let me know, because I still haven't figured it out.
Well, if you were at the Contractor Summit last year, I shared a slide of pizza on a table. Yeah. And I asked the people that were there, like, why do you think I've had this slide in here? And it's like, well, everybody was guessing, and it's like, no. It's like, because it's cold. Like, all this stuff that I say, it's SynkedUP, like thrive, not survive, like, actually make a business that can run without you, all those things. Well, I'm fighting that same battle. That pizza was cold. I missed a dinner. In terms of what is the secret, man, I am hunting for it too. But I think the first step is being aware of it and knowing what you want. And trying to make decisions, like my own discipline. And when I say my own discipline, I mean like my mental discipline of like not just putting the phone away.
Stuff like that, the little stuff.
Or arranging, I knew I was traveling more than I wanted to for the sake of my family. So I just threw my whole year and all my travel on a calendar where I could see in one page how many nights I was away from home, and I was just like, okay, what you measure gets attention, right? So what you measure gets improved. And so, I went from 90 nights on the road last year to on track to be about 60 this year. So it's getting better. But, I think just being aware and deciding what it is that you want, and then designing your life and your work schedule and your team that you hire around that is I don't know if it's a secret, but at least that's where my energy and focus is going to right now. Like trying to live life by design, not by reaction. I think the default, if you give it no attention and you don't think about it at all, you're going to be living life by reaction. Whoever's the loudest right now, whoever's ringing your phone, that's who's going to give you attention.
I like that. I think a lot of entrepreneurs go into this thinking that they're going to set their own hours and all of that. And actually,
quit my 40-hour job so I can work an 80-hour job.
Exactly. So it's being smart with your time, and like you said, have a plan, have your goals set. Don't just try doing life without goals, because then you're just running around in circles, right? And then you're losing time and you're not achieving your goals. Back to the balance with the family, I think quality time is more important. You kind of have to accept that the quantity of time may not be the same, because you're working so much, but just make sure it's quality time.
Like when you're there, be there.
Be there, right? And I struggle with that too.
I do. I'm not.
But that's critical, man, for sure.
It is. What would you say is the best advice you've ever been given?
And maybe not given to me by a person, but something that I saw online probably. But it's the magic that you're searching for is in the work that you're avoiding, right? I love that, because everybody thinks that stuff just happens overnight, and it's just like, you have to put in the work. You have to be committed. You have to be, 100% in to reach your goals, right? And all that work you're avoiding, that's where the magic is, man.
And often that work is inward.
Is
in yourself.
In yourself, mentality. Man. Just read some books, and get a mentor. Get a mentor, man. That's the best advice I can give you, or that I've ever gotten, is just learn from people that are where you want to be, because those guys are been through the challenges. They've seen it all, right? And all of that, just that really stuck with me, and I like
that. Do you have an example like, can you think of a time or an experience in your life that happened, like where all the magic that you want is in the work that you're avoiding? Like, can you think of a story where that?
Getting this job, for example, like the story I told you earlier, there was a project that I didn't want to do, and I was avoiding it, right? I didn't want to do it because it just seemed like it wasn't up to our standard, right? And I ended up doing the project. That led to me getting an interview with the Knoxville Entrepreneur Center for Latino Spread. The owner of this hotel read it, and then that led me to doing the interior pool, which led to me working with Lucas Lagoons. Like, I don't know how much more magical that it gets from that, right? Working with a guy like that and a hotel like this is a once-in-a-lifetime project, and all from a simple project that I did not want to do. Like you said, don't judge the book by its cover, right? And do the work, man. Do them all with passion. Give it your all.
If you're gonna do it, do it well.
And you'll be amazed at the results that you can get.
Yeah.
You know, there's no limit.
Yeah.
There's no limit.
Dude, speaking of not judging a book by its cover, one time I did like a $30,000 hardscape project for a mobile home. And the mobile home was like from the 70s.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't know what the logic was in that, but like, it was just crazy.
Yeah,
you know?
no, it's those things.
But I think, because, you know, so imagine being a sales guy walking up to that mobile home and be like, this is never going to go. You know?
Yep.
You know, so I think what's key there is, though, like, don't judge a book by its cover, but then also know when you've read the book and move on.
I like that as well. I never heard that side of it, you know, but that's a good way to put it too.
Yeah, we can get off base or off center. Like, it's a tightrope that you're trying to balance, you know, with this whole thing of like, okay, well, I'm not gonna judge a book by its cover, but also know when, you know, it's just not gonna work.
Yeah.
Have your own standards.
No, and that goes to like also a big thing that I think I'm getting better with is screening clients, right? And that's another
Dude, filtering
huge
is huge, especially like when you like the whole know your numbers thing.
Yeah.
Once you build a budget and you know your numbers and you know what rates you have to charge, then I'm like, now I want to find the people that can pay those rates.
Yes.
And if I'm gonna get a no, I want to get that no as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't want to wait 3 weeks to get the no if you know it's going to be a no.
Yeah.
You know, to get to that point quicker, that screening, that vetting, that qualifying is key.
That's hard to do, man. That's hard to do. You ask all the questions. Sometimes they'll give you pushback.
You know, back to your thing about like sometimes the magic that you want is on the work that you're avoiding. Maybe another example is like, man, I'd love to be able to sell a much higher percentage of my jobs, my proposals that I send out. Well, maybe you're avoiding the work on vetting and screening, and you're just doing proposals for people that are never going to tell you that doesn't matter what. Like,
True,
you know?
100%.
So then you get frustrated that you can't close jobs. But the magic that you want is in the work that you're avoiding.
Yes,
set up a screening process.
You know? 100%.
But that's harder. That takes time. That makes me think. You know, it's just easier to just get the quote out. You know.
Everybody wants an instant.
It
just doesn't work that way.
I like that quote. If you could go back, so you're coming up on 7 years, if you could go back to the beginning, like what's one thing that you would do differently? Like if you could go back to talk to the Chris the day you started, like what would you be like, dude, you gotta do?
Yeah, I think I would have delegated my tasks much sooner because I've always been really good at talking with people. So I feel like as much as I don't like selling, I feel like I could have grown to where I'm at much quicker by getting the right people in place. I avoided that for a while. My office girl, I think I've only had her, 2 years, you know, and that would have been my 5th year, and I was still wearing all that. The office hat alone is such a huge part of the work, right?
For an owner-operator?
For an owner-operator, that took me 5 years, right? To get a foreman, I think Epi started maybe 3 years actually, but mainly the delegating. I would have started delegating tasks much sooner. You know, started getting somebody for that and a budget. That's what I would have done, man. I was so against that because it just sounded so complicated. I've heard about it at the beginning, but I never knew what that was. I was like, that's not for me. I'm little. Like I don't need to do that, right? Building a budget, man. That right there is key to any business, any guy, any industry. Knowing your numbers and building a budget. I think for real, if I could pick one thing, it would be that, man. I would have done that from the very beginning because there were so many times that I thought I made money, man, and I paid the guys. I'm like, oh man, this is what's left over. Oh, truck breaks down, or a tire blows on the trailer, or insurance came in. And I didn't make no money. I didn't make any money until I started with SynkedUP, literally, which was 2 years ago. So those first 5 years, I was surviving. I was just check to check. And all the added stress, man, it's crazy. I mean, people see our projects and they think we're a big thing even back then, but we were really struggling, man. The behind the scenes stuff is not as pretty, you know, as we make it seem. And I think that's the reality for a lot of people. We're still learning, and we're struggling behind the scenes, and we're trying to, you know, present that we got it all together, but I didn't, man. And not until I got my finances right. I have thrived since I've learned what a budget really is and put that into play into my pricing, man. I think that every person needs to understand their finances and when they start a business, even probably before they know the actual trade itself.
Yeah,
you know, because if you're doing work for free, man, you're just gonna dig yourself in the hole.
Exactly.
Because that's what it ends up being. You just break even or for free almost, and it comes out of your pocket because you're not charging enough. You don't know.
Yeah.
So that's what I would change, man. I would have done a budget from the very get-go.
So you said something that I want to hear what you think. You said, I've heard about a budget, but I thought it was like, oh, I'm just a little guy, I don't need one. Like, how would you, in as simple terms as possible, describe what a budget is and what it does for you? So talk to the guy back there, like your Chris that was back there saying, I'm a little guy, I don't need a budget.
I would tell little Chris, I tell him to look at his bank statement every day or at the end of the month, right? And say like, hey, look, how much is left in here? Nothing. Why? Because you have all these expenses, all right? A company has expenses. It's not just your material and labor, it's the indirect costs and all the other stuff, right? So you have a truck, I was like, that little truck of yours breaks down all the time. And then, you know, I remember that my truck would break down because I would overdo it all the time. So I was, you know, you have to cover your expenses. All your expenses, not just in the front with labor and material, but it's your insurances, it's your maintenance, it's all of that stuff that needs to be built into your price that run your business and that you have to charge for, right? It's something that needs to be built in and worked on every month, right? It's not just something that you do one time.
Exactly.
You gotta do it every month.
It's not like going to the doctor's office, it's like going to the gym.
Yeah. You gotta do it consistently because things change. You know, like I had a project that was 2 hours out that we were there for like 4 months. My fuel cost was like through the roof. So I had to adjust that, right, to make sure we were covering for that. Stuff like that, down to the little things that changes consistently. So a monthly budget needs to be done, right? So that's what I would tell myself is you have costs that are eating into your profit that you're not accounting for.
So how did you get your pricing before you had before you actually had a budget?
Square foot, man. I was just going off of what I thought other guys were charging, and exactly. I was like, I would just put a square foot price, like, I can do that for 20, 30 or whatever.
But it's literally like, what are other people charging? Okay, I'll do that.
Yes,
you know?
Yes, and what people don't realize, and you know, you see that question asked all the time in forums and everywhere. It's like, oh, what are you charging? What should I charge? It doesn't work that way. Every company is so unique. Every human being is unique. It's just, so is your business, right? Your business is unique because...
And even your own is changing, like you said, monthly.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, because I might pick up a new piece of equipment or something, or a new truck or something that's extra cost, right? So my price may not be the same, is not going to be the same as anybody else because we don't have the same things. We don't have the same expenses. We don't have the same amount of guys. We don't have, nothing matches. So our square foot is never going to be the same, and people don't realize that. Yeah. You know, that you have to have your own unique number.
So after the budget, then how did you find your pricing?
SynkedUP. I plugged it all in there, and we, because I have my office girl, my sister-in-law, I have a ton of data. Everything is well organized, and I was able to take all my numbers from last year and all my information and build that up and put all that information in, and we got our man-hour rate, man. I never knew what a man-hour rate was. I was just square foot.
Square foot versus man-hour rate.
Yeah. Now it's all man-hour rate in material, and if you're not doing that, you're just digging yourself in the hole.
That's right.
You're just digging yourself in the hole. And I preach that almost every day to my friends, and I can't get to them sometimes, man, because it's that mentality, that barrier that's still there, right? That I had to break through, and now they're starting to see it, right? But it's hard to break through that, you know, because people are like, well, I'll never be able to sell, and they don't realize that it doesn't matter. You know, like you said, if you don't get these jobs, who cares? Because you were going to lose anyways.
Like you're paying for the privilege of doing the job.
Yeah, it's better to get one good job than get a bunch of them that you didn't. And it's hard to break through that. To
and
get them to
there's this just hit me. Like there's another example of the magic that you want is on the work that you don't want to do. Meaning the magic that you want profit.
Yeah.
Is in the work that you don't want to do. Don't want to do the budget.
Exactly. That's a perfect one for that. Man, budget changed my life. SynkedUP changed my life, man. It's literally, and I can't, I'm not paid for that, right? I'm paying you, right? So, man, once I did that, my first year with it, oh God, we had a lot of profit. I mean, it wasn't like ridiculous. We were still learning, but I made enough money that I was able to invest in other stuff, right? And I actually gave out bonuses. And I remember I used to be just shirts that I would get the guys. And I remember I got all the pants and boots and hats, and man, we were getting all the swag, and I was reinvesting and throwing it back at the guys as well, right? So I didn't just keep in like my.
You know what I'm hearing there?
You know?
This whole culture thing we were talking about earlier, that costs money.
That costs money as well, man. It does, but you're not able to do it correctly if it's not built in. I mean, it's not even an option. Like think back to the Chris before the budget. It wasn't even an option. Yeah, it wasn't an option. And now that, you know, if you're really thinking big, like your guys have to look clean. You have to look fresh. Yeah. That costs money. Yeah. You know, so $5,000 or whatever, X amount of dollars in your budget for every year to get fresh clothes. That has to get built in because the look and everything is important. Yeah. You know, you gotta look professional. That's just one of the things, right?
What you were telling me about Ryan, the marketing, the filming guy. You know?
Taking him on was a really nerve-wracking thing for me because, you know, it's kind of expensive. And I said, you know, whatever, let's just give it a try. And now he's just built in my budget. I don't even think twice about it. It just comes out of the account because it's accounted for, right? It's all charged for him. So that's why the budget is so important.
That's what I like about the budget. It's like you can put it in, put in the expense or the idea or the thing that you'd like to buy. Yeah. Put it in. It gives you the price. Yep. If you can still sell the work, there's your permission to spend the money.
Yes.
And you can put all that angst and that anxiety away because you're like, oh, I sold the work, and I can afford this Ryan, this marketing guy. Yeah. Or I can afford all the swag for the team members or whatever it is.
Yep. Yeah. That's critical. Number one thing that people need to learn when they get into entrepreneurship or in the landscaping, hardscape business is learn your numbers. You know, your finances, your budget, and then go out there and sell the work.
Speaking of people that are maybe have heard about the budget, but have never actually gone out there and built their own, how hard is it actually? Is it this thing you go off and do weeks worth of work? Tell us about your experience when you built your first budget, when you started turning the corner on this. Like, how hard is it?
So I think most of the time, people, when they start their business, they're not going to build a budget. That's just how it is. That's just the truth of it, right?
They got into it because they want to do the work and they want to make some side money.
So they've been in business a couple years, or hopefully not that long, right, before they did it. But you should have documentation of what you've spent, right? So it's just taking what your basic expenses are. I mean, a lot of people need to learn what what actual write-offs are and stuff like that, right? Your fuel costs. Everybody has a truck that breaks down. I mean, it's all the common sense stuff. You know, your equipment, your labor. It's things that you're spending and you're swiping on almost a daily basis or a monthly basis. Things that you're spending on, like your Netflix account, right? Like it's just something that you're constantly paying for. That needs to be put in your budget, right? If it's consistently coming out of your account, that needs to be put in, right?
Even the unexpected, like put a fudge factor in there.
Yes, yeah.
Because like, have you ever done like a personal household budget or something like that? If you have, I've tried it.
I've tried it.
You know, it's like okay, it's like I'm probably spending X per month at home. Okay, let's sit down, let's do it. Yeah. You do it all. You're like, whoa. Yeah. Like it's always more than you think. Yeah. And every dollar that you spend in a business, every dollar that you spend that was not in the budget, what was supposed to be your profit goes to pay for it.
Goes to pay for it.
And if you do that too often, there's no profit left.
Yeah, yeah. Then once you learn that, I think then it can grow into, like, for example, I have a budget for education. You know, I put money in there so I can take my guys to trade shows.
There you go, man.
You know, for me
back to the culture.
Back to the culture. You know, and we'll go to H&A every year. Well, we went last year. Now I got more guys. I'm gonna make it a thing for sure, right? And being able to travel and take your guys out. I've taken my foreman. We went to California twice within 6 months because there was a big learning event in the north, and we went to the south. And I mean, he loves it, right? It can grow into that, you know, the culture and all of that, and extra things in your budget. But at least get the basics down, because that's extra. But you do have things to run your business that have to be accounted for. So start with those, and then you can start adding on other things.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And like you said, like there's things that you wanna. I talked to Jeremy. Yeah, he's a good guy, man. And he told me how when he's expecting to buy, or he wants to buy another piece of equipment, he puts it into his budget. So before he even purchases it, so he can start accounting for that and put some money up for it, and then he gets it. So those are all key things, and those are like plays that you can start learning.
Yep.
As you start learning, you know, business and all of that, you can start accounting for stuff like
Yep.
that. To be able to grow your business,
Yep.
because we all need to grow. That's the point, right? To get to a certain extent, right? We need things to get where we want to be, and you can put all those into play, you know, even beforehand.
Yeah.
So man, once you start learning it, it's a powerful tool.
It
a
is.
very powerful tool.
It is.
I sound like a guru when I talk to my friends about it, but I tell them all, man, just go use the software, man. that thing does it all.
What would you say is one thing that makes you or your team unique from what you see out there with others in the industry? What's your magic?
One thing that makes us unique, you know, that I told you earlier, is just my guys are what you would call unicorns, right? They're passionate. They love what we do. They're not here for a paycheck. And every single one of my guys is like that. So I have a team of just monsters, you know, and they all get treated with respect, right? They all feel appreciated, and they all are just as passionate as I am. So I think with other we're small, right? So I think our quality is really high, you know, as opposed to a larger company. So I would speak for just smaller companies, right? We're small. We got 5 guys now, and 6 including myself, and 7 with our office lady. But as far as my team on the field, like they are all so passionate about the trade. It makes our quality just as best as it can be. We make mistakes. We're not perfect,
Sure.
right? But I think the passion that's all within my whole team really makes us stand out. And people see that. And when I talk to people, I feel like I kind of radiate that, right? And I don't think a lot of companies have that. Especially the larger companies, they're just hiring, and you never know who you're gonna get.
Yeah.
You know, and with me, they call me, I answer, I'm there on the site. It's a small knit family here, and we're all equally passionate, man. I can't stress that enough. You know, and it shows in the work.
Yeah.
I could keep going on and on about it, but if we go around and you start looking at the work and what they're doing, and
Speaks for itself.
It speaks for itself.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what makes us different, man. It's just we're small, we're a family, and you know, it's awesome.
It's awesome, man.
Yeah.
This has been a really good conversation.
Yeah? Oh man, I hope so. I'm nervous, man.
Well, how about we go get you guys some good dinner after a day of hard work in the heat?
Yeah.
You ready for that?
Thank you, Weston.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you, man.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
I get goosebumps listening to your story.
Really, man.
Oh
That's
man,
awesome.
like just because here's why. Like this whole SynkedUP thing is a dream for me.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Like just like man, it'd be awesome to be able to have this thing,
Yeah.
and then to come out and hear you talk about how it's made a difference for you. Like it makes me so proud and so grateful.
Yeah,
To
yeah.
have a part in that. And just the honor and privilege of being a small part of your success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, I think the real passion killer in this industry is going broke and not making money, right? I feel like there's a lot of guys that really do have the passion, but they're not doing it right as far as the business side of things, and it kills it every time. And we lose good guys because of it, right? This industry helps keep the passion alive, right? Your software does, right? Who wouldn't want to make money while they're doing the thing that they love,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
this is what really did it for me.
And that's what
man.
I want to do. I want to find people that are doing what they love and make sure that they're making money.
Yeah.
That's my goal. That's
Thriving.
what I'm trying to do. Thrive, not survive. There
Yes,
you go. You got
exactly. Yeah. And this is what it really did for me, man. I'm not sitting here and just trying to lie or speak on things that that aren't true, and it's just what it is for me.
Yeah.
It's after we implemented it, like I said, not everything is perfect, right? I don't close as much, but I do close quality jobs.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
and I've
key.
gotten some killer jobs. It requires input. It still requires a lot of work. You still have to put in the work, right? It requires a lot of data, but the software is there to give you what you want. But you got to make the magic happen.
Yeah.
You
It's
know?
like a discipline.
It's a
like
discipline.
I'm going to eat clean
Yeah.
so I can have a healthy body.
Yeah, you have to put all the work in, you know,
Yeah.
because it's a job costing and estimating. So you have to put in all your numbers,
Yep.
all your budgeting, so you're estimating right. And then you got to keep up with your job cost to make sure that the next job you bid is bidded accordingly to the last one, right? Because you may have your production rates and all that might have changed. You know, you guys might be getting better machines. So it takes work.
Yeah.
It's not some thing that just makes it happen, but you put the work in, and it's gonna change your life, and that's just what it is. It's awesome, man.
That's a great way to end it.
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
Instagram, Facebook, Morales Outdoor Living.